Right, so welcome. Right, so we're going to have a look at this question first, and then I'll elaborate as we go along if we need to explain anything in detail. All right, so remember, always read all the instructions carefully. In the diagram, ABCD is a quadrilateral, so just a four-sided figure. You can see that anyway. They've given you A and B and C and D. DC produced cuts the x-axis at E. They did not need to tell you that. You can see that this line cuts the x-axis, so it's the x-intercept. BC cuts the x-axis at H and E. Oh, sorry, and AD. So BC cuts the x-axis at H, and AD cuts the x-axis at G. F is a point on the x-axis such that BF is parallel to DE. Parallel tells you same gradient, right? Then they've told you that this is alpha. So you're immediately thinking of angle of inclination. Why? Because it's from the x-axis anti-clockwise up to a line. And they also gave you this angle, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not off the x-axis. All right, and it says calculate the gradient of DC. I just want to fix some of my security things here. Okay, cool. Got it. All right. Okay, so let's get started. The gradient of DC, so that's a nice easy question, nothing strange about that. You always get some easy questions. So DC has 2 points on that line, so we can do the gradient formula. Y2 minus Y1, so minus 3 minus 5. Use the bracket over x2 minus x1, 4 minus 0. That minus 3 plus 5 is 2, which is over 4, and that is a half. Okay, so the gradient is a half. Calculate the gradient of DC, is that one. Prove that AD is perpendicular to DC. Perpendicular says opposite gradient. So prove that this gradient is opposite to that. In other words, when you multiply the gradients, you get minus 1. Right, and we can find the gradient of AD. Right, so it will be 3 minus 5 over minus 4 minus 0. 3 plus 5 is 8 over minus 4, which is minus 2. And this is opposite to that, right? This is minus, that's plus. This is 2 over 1, that is 1 over 2. So therefore, the gradient of DC times the gradient of AD is equal to minus 1. Therefore, AD is perpendicular to DC. Perpendicular to DC. All right, the two gradients, when multiplied, give you minus 1, and therefore the two lines are perpendicular. So that's your clue, that you needed to find the two gradients and make sure that they are opposites. In other words, when they multiply, they give you negative 1. Anton, why don't you please close this window? They're making a noise outside. All right, then show by calculation that triangle ABC, okay, so this triangle, show that it is isosceles, ABC, right? You're trying to show that it's isosceles. Obviously, you need to know what an isosceles triangle is. It's a triangle with two equal sides. and two equal angles. So if you can show that two sides are equal, for example, it looks like those two could be equal. So let's find the length of AB. AB equals the square root of AB, right? So it's 3 minus 4 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared. 3 minus 4 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 squared is 49. Plus 1 is 50. So this is root 50. And it simplifies to 5 root 2. If you go root 50 on your calculator and push equals, you should get 5 root 2. All right, and then let's find the length of BC. Okay, square root of 3 minus 4 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared. And that is exactly the same as this. It is 5 root 2. Therefore, AB equals BC. Therefore, triangle ABC is isosceles. Okay. Reason, two equal sides. All right, so let's just pause there and make sure that everyone's happy with those three sections or those three parts to that one problem before we carry on. I'm quite sure 3.1 is fine. Find the gradient of DC. Then they want you to prove that AD is perpendicular to DC. DC's gradient, the one you found in 3.1. So find the gradient of AD and make sure they're opposites, so that when they multiply, they get you get minus 1. And then thirdly, if you want to show that a triangle is isosceles, one way would be to prove that two sides are equal to each other. And if you looked at this sketch, it would look like AB equal to BC is possible. Doesn't look like AC would have anything to do with it. So it looks like AB equal to BC. And when you find those things, you actually find that they are both 5 root 2.
Evening, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, can I please know what your paper is?
Let's see. 2017.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Right. Okay, and then determine the equation of BF. All right, BF. You need to find that equation. Immediately you notice that's parallel, so it has the same gradient as DC, which was a half. So in other words, y equals a half x plus c. Okay, so for this line. And it goes through 3, 4. Y is 4, x is 3. And therefore you can find c. 4 minus 1.5 is 2.5. So 5 over 2. And then you sub it back in. So y equals a half x plus 5 over 2. All right, so they want the equation of BF. Y equals mx plus c. M is the same as DC or DE because they are parallel. So remember, parallel lines have the same gradient. And you worked out that the gradient of DC was a half. So therefore, the one you're looking for has a gradient of a half. Right, so there we go. Its gradient is a half, and it goes through B 3, 4, sub the x and the y in, and solve for C. And there we go. That's your equation for BF. Right, is everyone okay so far? All right, and then they want you to find angle theta. Now, remember I said in the beginning, theta is in the middle of nowhere. Right, so remember, if you're trying to find the angle in the middle of nowhere, it's in other words, not off the x-axis, you say, well, it's between this line and that line. Now, this and that is at 90 degrees, the y-axis and the x-axis. You can, of course, find this angle if you find that one, angles on a straight line, and then do angles in a triangle. Or exterior equals the sum of the opposite interiors. So if you can find that, it will equal to 90 plus something. In other words, that minus 90. Or you do angles on a triangle, angles on a straight line, and then angles in a triangle. And let's see, if we wanted to find this angle, it has to do with this line, gradient of AD. And there was the gradient of AD, minus 2, right? So we can definitely find that. Tan theta equals minus 2. Right? Shift tan 2 to get your reference angle. I hope you're busy doing it. All right, shift tan 2. Remember, don't put in the minus. Shift tan 2 is 63,4. Now, if I look at this angle, it is definitely not acute. It's obtuse. So that 63.4 is here, which makes it vertically opposite to that. So then, of course, I have two angles and I can find theta. So theta is 180 minus the sum of the other two sides. So 90 plus 63.4. Oh, no, my pen is frozen. What? Sorry, I'm just switching it off and on. Ah, there we go. 63,4. So what's that? 153,4 and 180 minus that should be 26,6. You can just check for me. Right. Are you happy that that would be 26,6? Have you checked it? You can fill it in. Right. Happy? Okay. So determine the equation of the circle with center O and that passes through point C. Okay. So in other words, a big circle. Okay, we want the equation of that circle. Right, so remember, the equation of a circle has a general form. So that would be our starting point. All right, so x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. They said that it goes through the origin. Oh, sorry. Yes, center is the origin. Origin means the center is 0, 0. So x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And the r is your radius, so it's the distance from there to there, right? And you have that, that is 0, 0. And that's 4 minus 3. So you can find the length of OC. OC equals the square root of 4 minus 0 squared plus minus 3 minus 0 squared. And if you work that out, you should get 5. Okay, so the radius is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So the equation of that circle is x squared plus y squared equals 25. 17 marks for this whole question. And it should be pretty straightforward to you. So I'm pointing out all the things. Gradient, that's fine. What does this mean? Opposite gradient. What does this mean? Two sides that are equal, so distance formula. Equation of a line. The size of theta. So possibly using tan theta equals m. And then the equation of a circle. Right, any questions? Nothing, guys. Do I assume that you know how to do this? Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. The next question has one to do with circles. Okay, in the diagram, N is the center of the circle. So you immediately know these are all radii. M is -3, -2, P is 1, 4. They are points on the circle, and MNP is the diameter of the circle. Tangents drawn to circle N from point R outside the circle meet the circle at S and M. So tangent, tangent. Remember, tangents have equal length. So bear in mind that if you split that into two, that this triangle and this triangle will be congruent. Remember, that's 90, 90. Okay, a tangent to a circle, the tangent and the radius are at 90 degrees. Determine the equation of the circle in that form, right? Okay, so you need to have the center, which is the midpoint of those 2 points. -3 plus 1 is -2, over 2 is -1. -2 plus 4 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So add your x's and divide by 2. What else? These two triangles would obviously be congruent, so this angle would equal that angle, that would equal that, etc. Right, so the equation of the circle is what we want, right? Oh, n is here. So I found my n, and now I need the equation of the circle. So we have the center. It is x plus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals r squared. Okay, so remember, x opposite sign, y opposite sign. And then, of course, I can find my radius by doing the distance formula. So in other words, mn equals root x minus x squared plus 1 minus -2 squared. Right, -1 plus 3 is 4, 4 squared is 16. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 squared is 9, root 25 is 5. All right, so I'm using the general form for a circle where the center is a B. -1, 1, opposite signs. Determine the equation of the tangent RM. This equation, straight line, y equals mx plus c, and you want this gradient is opposite to that gradient. So I need to find that gradient. What would that be? Minus 3 minus minus 1 is minus 3 plus 1, which is minus 2 at the bottom. And then top would be minus 1 minus minus 3. Minus 1 plus 3 is 2. Let's just check this one. No, this is not right. 1 minus minus 2 is 1 plus 2, it's 3. So just check that you're happy with that. I'll do it again. All right, so 1 minus minus 2 is 3 over minus 3 over 2. And that's correct. It should be positive though. Oh, I covered up my negative. All right, so it is 1 minus minus 2, which gives me 3, over minus 1 minus minus 3. Minus 1 plus 3, 2. Sorry, 2. So in other words, negative 1. So y equals minus x plus c, and then I need the opposite gradient for Rm, right? So if I found this gradient, which is that, then this will be the opposite of minus 1, which is plus 1. Okay, so I'm not, it's a plus. Plus 1x plus c, and then I can sub in my point. All right, so your y is minus 3, x is minus 2, and then c is minus 1. So y equals x minus 1. Okay, just check if you agree with me. Okay, so you're finding Rm, straight line, y equals mx plus c. This m of this line is opposite to that, so first find it. 1 minus minus 2 was 3. 1 minus minus 2 was 3. Don't know why I changed it. And then minus 1 minus minus 3. Minus 1 plus 3 is 2. So it's 3 over 2, not minus 1. Okay, 3 over 2. But that's that gradient. So I need this gradient, the opposite. So minus 2 over 3. Sure, this one's not so cool. And no one picked it up. Okay, the gradient of that is that. So the gradient of MR would be the opposite. So minus 2 over 3x plus c, and then sub in the minus 3 minus 2. That's 6 minus 2 minus 6 is minus 8. So it will be minus 2 over 3x minus 8. Just check that you're happy with that. Now, so lots of thinking involved, right? Okay, and then if it is given that the line joining S to M is perpendicular to the x-axis, that means it's got the S has got the same x value, so it's minus 3 as well. Determine the coordinates of x. So s's coordinates would have the same x value. You just need to find the y value when x is minus 3. And you can use the circle, I suppose. Because that's your radius. So then you've got x plus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. Right, so the line joining S to M is perpendicular to the x-axis, so it has the same x value. It just has a different y value. So if you take your equation of your circle and you sub in minus 3 for x, you'll be able to solve for y. All right, so let's take that. X is minus 3. So I'm going to use it in that formula. Right? Is everyone with me? So x is minus 3, so it's minus 3 plus 1 squared plus, then y minus 1 squared equals 25. Now we need to solve for y. So let's tidy this up. Minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. Minus 2 squared is 4. If I take it over, 25 minus 4 is 21. And then I square root to get rid of the square root. The square. So y minus 1 equals plus or minus root 21. And if I throw the 1 over, it's 1 plus or minus root 21. And whatever that is, two answers. 1 plus root 21, 1 minus root 21. Now this one would be 1 plus because it's positive, right? So not such a nice answer. I'm surprised that this didn't end up being the same as that. I'm really surprised. If I take this and I sub in minus 3, minus 3 plus 1 is 2 squared, which is 4, and 25 minus 4 is 21. And if you make your x minus 3, that'll be 4. 25 minus 4 is 21. Correct. It just doesn't seem right. But anyway, right, so you've got that. And then let's see if there's another part to it. Calculate the area of RSNM. Okay, those are always a bit yucky. No. All right. RSNM. 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 Right, you want the area. Now you can see that these two triangles are equal. So if you work out the one area, you'll automatically have the other one, right? Okay, so if you can do half base times height, because there's a 90, so let's work on that. We've got this length. Can we work out this length? Is it possible? Or how else could we find this area? They never said that R was directly across from N. How do we know that that is directly across from that? Can we assume that, and why? Because half base times height and then doubling it would give me that area. And we definitely don't have that equation. Tangent drawn to N, a circle in from R. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm not seeing it. We haven't found R at all, right? But we have found the equation of Rm. So I suppose we could find the equation of that, but let me see how many marks it is first before we carry on and doing it. I'm just looking for an easier way. It's only 4 marks, so one would think it would be more marks if you had to do that. So what I'm saying is you can work out, well, you've got this equation. You can find, well, you've got the equation of this line, Rm. If you can do the same there, which you can, you've got a point and you've got the gradient, because it's opposite to that, then you can do point of intersection. And to find that, and I've got a feeling it's got the same y value. I don't know why. But it seems like a lot of work. And then obviously when you have those coordinates, then it's easy to do that length times that length and halving it, because you can find that length if you've got those coordinates, right? So that one's a little bit tough. And I'm not sure that you can just assume that that is directly across, or can you? I think you can. So your y value would be 1. Maybe not. So it seems like it's a lot of work. Okay. So you've got this equation, find that equation, and then do simultaneous equations to find the coordinates, and then length, then you do half base times height. Okay. I'm not going to write it out because that's a tricky one, but at least I want you to understand what is being done. Just want to see if they asked anything else. Yeah, definitely R, S, N, M. Yeah, so quite a lot of work. But what they do sometimes is they might not give as many marks as they would have liked to, because they know that most people are not going to get it right. So they know that they're going to lose the 4 marks. If they make it 6 marks, they're going to lose 6 marks. So they kind, and they think, okay, well, we won't entirely kill them. We'll at least give them only a few marks lost if they can't do it at all. And unfortunately, these types of questions are all or nothing. You either know how to do it, so you're going to get the marks, or you don't at all. Just try and think out of the box, okay? A little bit out of the box. All right, any questions so far? I'm still surprised that this y value ended up being so yucky. But be that as it may, you can go and check it. All right, let me just get an idea of where you guys are at. Yes, Mariam, it is recording. Okay. What should we do on Monday? Any suggestions?
Ma'am, could you do proportionality and similarities, please?
Perfect. Perfect. I shall. I'll do it both days next week, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Quite a tough section. I'll do that. All right, cool. I'm not going to start another question because it's going to bomb out. But yeah, thanks for joining, and carry on working hard. And I'll see you on Monday. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Pleasure. Bye.